for the football season. He's the first sponsor that we've got. And it takes sponsors to make this thing go and everything.
Absolutely.
We got Scott from KBORE. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I want to appreciate you being on, Scott Mason, and I want to appreciate you being on last time because that's where we got the good ratings.
Oh, well, hey,
We get,
if I can give you ratings, that's
that was the best we ever. That was the best one we ever had.
So I'm thinking about coming into this podcasting game someday too.
Well,
I've got a couple buddies. We always talk about it. We're going to call it something like yelling at the clouds because we're all old school people who don't like the way sports is going, right?
Well, I'm definitely in that grumpy old man category. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you a little bit about the football season coming up. Do you know who the first game is going to be against?
Yeah, it's the second year of the two-year rotation.
Okay,
so instead of opening at home against Fort Madison, we'll go to Fort
So you're going to Fort Madison, Coach Doherty's team. That was kind of a big deal last year. You guys got off to a good start.
Yeah, we started the season 3-1 in non-district, and it was when you've got a horse like Keyshawn Wildin turned out to be. We got off to a really, really good start. The only bugaboo we had in the non-district was still can't find a way to beat Washington. Doesn't matter if we're playing at home or on the road. We just can't.
You and everybody
find a way
else
to beat
that
the
goes
demons.
there. It's a tough place to play. It's if you got a mature place, it's could be a different ball game. But I don't know what it is about that place. It's just tough.
They have a way, whether it's a Case Field or a Bracewell, they make Burlington, historically anyway, since the series renewed in 2018, they have made Burlington play their game. They slow, in a basketball sense, they slow the tempo. They run the football, they play stout defense, they force you to work the edges because they're so stout up the middle. So Keyshawn found a lot of trouble running between the tackles and couldn't get outside. The pursuit was great. They're just a good, solid, fundamentally sound football team, and that has given Burlington fits.
I'd look better without those glasses on.
Sure
Anyway, I'm doing the best I can next to you. I mean, gee, Merry Christmas.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
Right.
I was going to tell you, we're going to be doing things a little different this year. I might be going to different towns and line up some things. I got Coach Chipper as. That's why we're here in the Notre Dame dugout.
Yeah, no offense, Chip, but he's killing me with that ND in the background.
We got the Burlington in here, so we got the logos there. But both the schools had pretty great baseball seasons, and want to talk to Coach Chipper as he's got the state championship or state tournament again this year. But we'll talk to him next. So I might be coming to your town, is what I'm trying to say, and line up some guests and talk to them. We're thinking about doing a real show, like a Beat the Round Guy show with the band and cheerleaders and mascots and different guests, and I think we can get that all done. But that's all in the we would like to do it category. Soon we'll maybe have it in the actually did it category.
Aim high.
We're trying.
Aim high.
But anyway, let's talk back to the football. So Burlington's got you talked about Keyshawn Wild, and he was a wild man, and he run wild all over the place, and just yard after yard after yard, and touchdown after touchdown last year. He was a big 50% or more of your offense last year.
Right.
But I do believe he graduated, didn't he?
Did.
So he's graduated, but I'm sure whoever was sitting on the bench behind him is not unhappy about that. But sometimes you got a guy like him that can run the ball, and you do it a lot, and maybe, this year maybe you got some wide receiver or something you can get the ball to. What are you thinking about?
I don't think you're going to see anything different than what you've seen in the past, historically dating back to Coach Flaherty's days. Burlington runs the football, and they have always run the football. Now, whether they have generational talents like Bryant Williams back in 21 or Keyshawn Wildin last year, they run the football. And so, it's who's going to fill that void. And I don't think it's going to be one person. I think there's some talent coming up from the JV team that's going to step in, but I think it's going to be more running back by committee. I think at quarterback, you've got an advantage because you got a third-year starter, senior Caden Zog, who's going to step in, and he's going to be the unequivocal leader from day one. They're going to play stout defense because that's also something Burlington does. They do return some experience up front, but you do lose guys like Adrian Perez Hall, who was
he was big time all the time.
Sure. And so, it's just a matter of that's the beauty and the curse of high school and college athletics, in that you always have this turnover. And there's always somebody in waiting, though, to replace those who set standards. So we'll see what they're going to do. I can guarantee if you talk to Jordan Webb, though, he's going to say we're going to run the football because that's our identity. Caden's a decent enough quarterback, but he's not going to throw it 40 times and be effective. To win in high school, you have to be a little more balanced.
Well, Caden's on. We were just watching him in the championship game on the baseball field. Are there any other baseball players that are going to make that transition to Burlington Greyhounds football?
Man, I would guess there are, but I'll tell you what, with as many kids as graduated from that baseball team, outside of Caden, I mean, you think about the baseball team, you've got Caden, you've got Cohen Schroeder, and Radek Pozlowski are basically the three kids who got a lot of playing time last year for the varsity baseball team. To answer your question, only Caden plays football. Cohen doesn't play football. Radek doesn't play football. I know Roy Brown, who is a junior to be. He was a junior varsity first baseman, outfielder type. He plays football, but beyond that, I'm not certain how many of those kids play football. But I look forward to finding out here in are we down to 40 days now? 35 or
it's something like that, man.
Like,
I mean,
it's either 5 or 6
and that's why
weeks
we're starting our football coverage, and we had to start it with you.
I appreciate it.
Because, well, you always give us good interviews. We've always had good luck, and we've always had good numbers, and we.
Are you still going to have John and I on every
Yeah,
Friday?
I'm gonna. Well, I'm going. But we may have to get you on headphones and do it on over the internet or whatever they call it, the YouTube. We're trying to yard stream. Scotty Melvin and I are gonna sit down, and he's gonna get on headphones. We're gonna see if we can make it work.
So here's the dirty little secret. Anytime I get this face or this voice on the airwaves, I'm good.
See, that's why for the first 5 years I didn't show my face on this.
I can understand.
I have a face for radio,
for
for sure. Well, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Is there anybody coming back, you think, that's got a position locked up? Are we going to have play positions up for grab? What's going on?
It's again, and this is where John would be so much better. I'm a ball follower, and I readily admit that. He does a lot more of the research than I do. He knows the guys a lot better than I do. Caden will come back. He'll play some defense. Burlington, outside of Adrian Perez Hawley last year, really, they're a team defense. They are 5, 6, 7 hash to the football at all times, trying to play pursuit. Whether you're asking me, maybe you're asking me if they're going to have a game breaker. I don't think so. Not one that I can predict. I think it's going to have to be solid team. Think Phil Parker. Think there's never been an Iowa guy. There's been, one every now and then, but generally an Iowa Hawkeye defense is based upon what 11 guys cohesively do together. Burlington cut out of the very same cloth. That in high school, if there was a guy, you'd have heard about it.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to have 11 guys that are flying to the football, and they're going to have to. This district that they play in, Clinton, Davenport West, Western Dubuque, Davenport North, and North Scott, especially North Scott, Davenport North, and Western Dubuque, who beat bumps and ran up and down the field last year on BHS. They're quick, and so in order to combat quickness, you've got to have good, fundamentally sound football players who are able to pursue the footballs and make plays.
Well, hopefully we'll be excited. You and Coach Flaherty have been doing the football broadcast from KBO radio,
right.
But there was a few years you had some YouTube up there
right.
that I could find, and it was the best in the business, replays and all kinds of camera angles. It was good, good quality commentators there too. Then it wasn't. Then I couldn't find it for a while, and then toward the back of the season, I did find it again. You were up and broadcasting on YouTube.
So
how are we going to find the Burlington Greyhounds?
It used to be. So first off, we got to give a shout out to the guys at Broken Centrifuge, locally owned business, small business, 5, 6 guys who just made a commitment. We're going to start a video production company, and so they do Burlington football. They've done Snow Bowl. They did Steamboat Days when it was here, when they were first getting off the ground. So all of your in-house, what you're seeing on YouTube or on Bound now, to answer your question, is I think everything they do now is on Bound or streamed through a school site. But everything you see on the production is what they're seeing inside the stadium. So at Bracewell Stadium, if you've been there, and they only do home games, if you've been to Bracewell on the north end zone, there's a video board. And so anything that the crowd is seeing is what you're seeing on YouTube or wherever. Yes, back until I want to say 2021, 22, I think maybe it was, because the Bryant Williams game, when he beat Fort Madison with a last minute touchdown, that's up there. I think up through 22 we had home games on YouTube. After that, I think it's just on Bound. But you heard our voices, you saw their production, they synced it up, and so it looked like it was a real TV broadcast. It was really cool.
I wish I knew someone talented, because I'm certainly not, especially on the technical side of this. But well, I know you don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to let you free.
I got BLTs waiting for me at home, and I have to go across the street to Fairway, and I've got to get lettuce and tomatoes and cottage cheese.
Well, I don't want to get your family waiting any longer. But I'm going to give you a few minutes, parting shots, anything you want to say to our viewers about this upcoming football season.
Well, allow me to start, if I can, before I talk about football. We talk about baseball. You're going to talk to Chip here in a few minutes, but my daughter was a member of the state tournament softball team for BHS, and so from me to all listeners and viewers out there, and anybody who may see that, what a joyful season it was to watch that softball team play, and to think as a Burlington fan, you not only had the softball team get to state, but you had the baseball team won a conference championship. Both teams won conference championships, so forgive me for digressing a bit and giving some props and a shout out to those softball girls, because they were small but mighty. Ended the season with 12 girls on the team, had 12, were 13 throughout the course of the season. My daughter, who's an 8th grader, was one of 3 8th graders who played a lot, 4 freshmen who played a lot. And so if you believe in such things in athletics, the future is bright, because you've got everybody except the starting catcher coming back next year. We know that's not how sports works, but we're optimistic. As for football, it's a 4 home game season, so it's gonna be a little bit different than last year. We open on the road at Fort Madison, we come home, and I don't remember the order off the top of my head, but I know we've got Keokuk, Oskaloosa, Mediapolis are the other 3 non-district opponents. 3 of those 4 were blowouts. Burlington won by huge margins over Fort Madison, Keokuk, and not a huge, but a bigger margin against Oskaloosa. Washington, again, is the team that kind of owns Burlington, if you will, but they come to Bracewell this year. Washington comes to Bracewell, as does Keokuk. So we go to Fort Madison, and we go to Oski. I think we may go to, I can't remember. Either way.
Well, Oski's cool.
And then we come home. Our district opener, I know, is against Clinton. And we actually go up there for that. Then we come home for homecoming against Davenport West in week 6. And then we've got the gauntlet that we had last year, just with the places reversed. So we go to North, come home against North Scott, and we go to Western Dubuque. And if I'm correct, those 3 teams outscored us somewhere around 160 to 30 something last year. So there's a lot of work to do. It tells you in high school football the gap between the best and middle of the pack.
Well, it's because you're a 4A school. You play all the big time schools,
and I think it'll be that way for one more year. Burlington has gone to 3A in most every other sport. Football's different.
Football in Burlington, I don't know. I grew up in the Southeast 7, and Burlington, Oskaloosa, and everything in between was all in the Southeast 7. The Keokuks and the Fort Madisons and the Washingtons and the Fairfields, and that's the way it was for like 100 years. And then, but it was always great. It was always great. It was just, they're perfect for Burlington,
Well, and it'll be interesting to see in other non-football sports. You've got the additions of Oskaloosa coming back, as well as Central League going to be joining the conference. So the conference will go from 6 to 8. If not cool. This year,
I like all those teams. I like all those teams.
It'll
Central League they kind of tug at my heartstrings a little bit. I like their fans, and I like their outfits. I like their ball teams. I like the pluck and the fight that they have. I like everything about it. Well, that's all we got for you for this one. I'm going to do another interview with Coach Chip Perez about the state championships baseball season. And thanks for viewing us, and thank you for being with us.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ron.
Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I know I didn't give you much notice.